Hello everyone, Maurice here. Welcome to Things Invest, where we're going to talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's video is for entertainment purposes only. The investments we're going to talk about today will be Bitcoin and Ethereum. As you know, across today on a beautiful Sunday in New York City, as of earlier this morning when I was going to the gym, I noticed that on my way to the gym and checking my Coinbase app, I can see that on Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's been experiencing more of a sell-off again, right? So it's been subsequent sell-off for the last couple of days so far. On Bitcoin, it's down about 11%. Ethereum currently down about 17%, and I believe at one point about 18.5%. So I'm gonna go through a technical analysis to see how are we trending going forward. This is more of like an impromptu emergency video because I know that a lot of people care a lot about this. So I want to quickly hop on the camera to show you guys how we're trending accordingly and what are the supply and demand dynamics are shaking out right now in the market as a whole. I'm going to give you the resistance level to look out for and also the price level that we should be looking out for 2021 year end as well. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Okay, so let's look at Bitcoin real quick. You could see that Bitcoin right now is a little bit more stable in comparison to Ethereum, knowing obviously the fact that Bitcoin is a mega cryptocurrency, is the largest one, and the dollar signs is a lot bigger. This is, talk about 33,000 in comparison to $1,900, which is basically enormously different, right? So that's why the volatility is a little bit less severe in comparison to Ethereum or like obviously Dogecoin, which you could see that in comparison to Bitcoin is 11% downward, but Ethereum's down close to about 18 or 17% at one point today. And the reason is because of that, right? Because the price sensitivity level is a lot lower, which subsequently drove less of a volatility on the price level in the demand and supply perspective. And what we see right now, currently, we broke through the first resistance level, which, again, right, this was a relatively weak resistance level. We have formed two peaks right here, once, twice, and subsequently to that, that's why we consolidated here a little bit. We consolidated here a little bit. But that was relatively weak again, right? We have 1, 2, and the peak was relatively shallow again, right? With this like subliminal type of semi-upward peak because of the whole, pump up from the SNL show again. But that was relatively shallow again, and that's why we sold off significantly from here. And ever since then, you could see that we broke through the first resistance level, the second resistance level. Now we are testing the third resistance level, and we are basically struggling at this level right now, which makes sense, right? Because if you take a look at this real quick, and I zoom in this right here, you can see that we were struggling at this level for multiple times, right? Let's count how many times we struggle on this level. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, right? Now we're testing the 7th time. And the 7th time is really a strong resistance level. We are forming like a triple, like a 6 armor of a resistance level. We definitely have a lot of market appetite for around this level, right? And I think it makes sense, right? Because at the $33,000 level is close to around like the $30,000 level. It's more like a mental blockage or resistance level that we have formed, and you can see that we formed that once right here around what time period was this? Around like the January 21st, and also formed that once here at the January 27th as well, and we also formed that once here at the January 3rd as well. So you could see that we were basically bouncing up and down, and each time there was a lot of public investors' interest into this, right? So I think right now this would be a relatively good level to buy into, knowing the fact that again, right, we bounced off the walls like 7 times so far with a lot of good public investors' interest, right? So right now, I think it's a good time to buy in with a pretty good risk and reward ratio perspective. However, if we do break that, I think the next level would be a pretty steep fall from here. We'll go all the way down here to the 23 or the low to $20,000 level at the secondary resistance level. But the likelihood of that to get there would require a whale to sell off. It wouldn't be driven by public investors, because I think public investors are pretty interested at this level already. So for us to go down there will require, like again, right, to correlate. You see this big green candle. This big green candle was driven by a corporate investor, not by retail investors, right? So for us to get back down there, we need to watch out for a whale to sell off from here. And I think the likelihood of that of us doing so would be like 50-50 at the moment. So I wouldn't go all in at this $33,000 level. Just know the fact that, this is really contingent on the supply and demand perspective and the appetite of a potential whale that's going to come in and make a drag onto the market, right? So I think right now, if you were to dollar cost average a little bit, like about 15% of your cash portfolio, I think that's fair. But just know that the fact of like going back down here to $23,000 level, that would be a complete steal. It would be, I give this like maybe a 25% likelihood of us doing so. But that will require, again, right, a major corporation to do so, and that will go through a lot of like board decisions. That will go through, a lot of, the corporation have to go through a lot of loops and hoops for us to for them to execute on the sale. So we should be seeing that, but knowing the fact that we've sold off so significantly now, by close to about like 40%, 50% so far, that the likelihood of us doing that again would be relatively low. Because like if you look at the RSI right now, we're highly oversold. The MACD is separating a little bit more, so I do foresee us to be selling off a little bit down to like the 30K, like around here, and by that point we should be reversing upwards soon. But if we don't, but that would be unlikely, because like for that it will require even more of a separation between the MACD lines and the signal line. And for us to do that, that will just kind of, that will form like a huge outlier to the formations of the logics that we have in front of us so far. So for us to get down all the way to that level, I think it will be very unlikely. But there's a possibility, right? And again, right, I'm not a predictor in terms of like what corporate people are doing, but just know the fact that this is kind of like a binary solution that we're seeing in front of us. But based on what I see so far on the macroeconomic perspective, based on the logical perspective in a supply and demand on the public investors' perspective, that the likelihood of this corporate level person or this corporate entity to sell and to create this outlier would be very unlikely, but with possibility, because nothing is completely certain, right? So right now, if I was you, I would buy in again, right, 15%, and knowing the fact that if we go down more, right, this is gonna go down to the $30,000 level, and then I would buy another 15%. But if we go in down all the way to $23,000 level, I'll probably go all in and buy two Bitcoins as a whole, because by that point it would just be too much of a stretch in terms of logical, macroeconomical, and supply and demand perspective. So all time is going to be coming back. I think and I think investors are probably going to ask me like, oh, when are we going to go back to like the $64,000 if I bought in at this level? I think because of the fact that it took about how long, like 1 month to like January all the way to April. So it took about like 3 months to get there. So I think it's gonna take about like double or three times more for us to get back to this level. So I think sometimes around like December or like Q4 or like early Q1 next year, we should get back to this all-time high level. And the reversal should be coming soon, relatively in the next couple weeks or so. I don't foresee us to have more drag down, because that would just be very not the most logical thing to do in a supply and demand perspective. Right? Bitcoin, I think right now the $33,000 level is a fair price for you to get in. Just know that 15% likelihood that we will stay here, with an 85% of us like further go down to the $30,000 level, which is a very strong consolidated resistance level, comparable to like the 1850 that Ethereum has tested. That and contingent on one of the big whales not gonna decide to sell, knowing the fact that we've highly oversold already. So for them to sell on a low will be very unlikely, right? Because they care a lot about profit, right? And also with respect to a corporation on a sell execution, it requires a lot of corporate approvals, board members approval. You can't just manipulate your balance sheet for the sake of just selling with a click of a button, right? You need to go through regulatory compliance. It's just a fiduciary duty for your board members and for your investors, right? So for us to get down to $24,000 level, I'll give this maybe like a 10% likelihood. I think it will be too much of a stretch for us to get down there. But if we do get down there, I'm probably gonna load up on Bitcoin for a long term, right? I think this is like extremely low level. That's like basically robbing a bank type of level, jokingly, obviously. And I think my year and 12 months price target was $95,000 level, knowing the fact that we did test the $64,000 level. But Bitcoin is gonna perform well in the long term, and I think hitting close to the six digit level, at close to $95,000 level, and then go down a little bit and then consolidate and go back up again, in the 6 months, 12 months horizon, wouldn't be surprising to me. And I think the upside right now, if you buy in at $33,000 level, that 188% upside with 3 times your money from here is a fairly attractive proposition, in my opinion. So really appreciate you guys for dropping by again. Hopefully you guys don't feel so scared. This is a logical occurrence. This is supposed to happen. We're just going through with the cycle right now. Cryptocurrencies or any commodities don't go up and away for no reason. It needs to go through a normal cadence of logics and supply and demand dynamics, and that's what's exactly what we're going through right now. So hopefully you guys are feeling a little bit better on the projections going forward and the analysis that I give to you guys to hopefully give you a peace of mind, obviously, right? Please hit the like button, the subscribe button, also the notification bell to watch out for my next video. Thank you so much again. Take care.